Welcome back to the briefing room. Joining Sergeant Warren and I on the set now, we have Police Cadet Paul Searle, who's been with our organization for a little over 2 months now, serving in a Police Cadet program. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you.
Paul, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? Yours is a little more unique than Lauren's, who joined us on the first half of the show. Tell us a little bit about your background in education and some of your experiences.
I graduated from Waterford Mott in 2004, and while in high school, I was a fire cadet at the Waterford Township Fire Department. I decided to change career paths and go towards law enforcement. I also have a little bit of training in dispatch as a emergency telecommunicator, and I just want to pursue law enforcement. This is what I want to do.
And you're studying at the college level now, where at?
Oakland Community College in Auburn Hills. I'm about halfway through there.
Outstanding. What are some of your career goals in law enforcement?
Just to work my way up through the chains, and just work my way to the top eventually.
And Sergeant Warren, I know that was one of the big goals that we're looking forward to this is how we're going to grow and develop these young men and women. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and some of the goals that we have and actually some of the minimum requirements that we have for our police cadets?
Okay, for minimum requirements, the basic requirement is they can't be convicted of any serious crime, had to be a Michigan resident, and they need to have at least 30 college credit hours. We want someone that's very serious about being involved in law enforcement as a career, and so that's why I came up with that. With Paul, for example, he came to us. He came to us to do a ride-along because he wanted exposure in law enforcement, and after he rode with our officer, our officer said, this is the kind of guy that we need as a cadet, and so we contacted Paul, and things worked out very well with him.
And Paul went through the interview process and very comprehensive interview background in physical testing that we, physical fitness and things like that we actually have them, and then obviously the health screening and things like that. How many cadets do we have in the city of Novi?
We have 9 cadets.
Okay, and that provides us with what type of coverage?
24/7 coverage. The cadets work either a 7-hour or an 8.5-hour shift, and they work 2 out of 3 weeks, 2 days a week, and the third week they work a third day.
Outstanding. And then with those 9 positions, those 9 part-time positions, we're able to have 24/7, 365-day-a-year coverage on the front desk when the community members come in to file a report, obtain a police report, take a preliminary breath test, whatever it might be.
Absolutely.
What's been some of the feedback that you've received personally from residents or business members when you're down at the front desk when they come in?
A friend of mine actually came in last Saturday to do a home watch where the resident can request extra patrol when they're going to be out of town for an extended period of time. And she was telling me how nice it was to come in on a weekend and actually speak to someone and be able to fill out that form without having to wait for an officer to come in off the road to do the same thing. Absolutely.
Paul, one of the big things that we also look out of this program is a way to grow and develop you. And we really look at this cadet program as almost a feeder system for us down the road, a recruiting tool, if you will, where we can bring you in and teach you some of the very basic tools of law enforcement in our profession and allow you to learn. And you might want to become a Novi police officer someday, a Novi police dispatcher, or whatever career pattern you choose, but it allows us to kind of work with you, teach you the skill sets that you're going to need. And as you know, we place a very high emphasis on education and personal growth and development. How do you see that helping you in your professional career thus far?
Well, I think it's very important that you be very well educated. You can never have enough education, and I think it's going to help me with my career path through Novi. Novi has presented me this opportunity, so I would like to stick through it and retire from here someday.
Why don't you tell us about a typical day that you have as a police cadet and some of the things that you're working on?
Well, I work midnight, so I don't get to see as much as the front desk as the other cadets might, but I see a lot of the back booking room. I do, on average, 3 or 4. Sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's no bookings, but I spend a lot of time back in booking. When I first started, it took me a little over an hour. Now I'm about 20 minutes. So
good. So that goes towards the time savings that we're seeing, where we're able for you to assist the uniformed men and women and then help them get back out on the street quicker. What has been one of the things we always predicate and teach our young men and women is to always treat everyone with dignity and respect. And I know you've shared some stories on how that really helps when you're booking prisoners, is treating those people, even though that might be a low point with them, but treating them with that dignity and respect. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, everyone makes mistakes, and it's not fun being back there when you've been arrested, and it could be embarrassing. So I try to make them feel a little more comfortable, let them know, people make mistakes, things can get worked out, Try to strike a conversation with them to kind of get them a little more relaxed, and they tend to be more cooperative that way too.
Outstanding. And I know Sergeant Warren, another one of our functions of the cadets is to conduct our prisoner checks. And we're told continually by our risk management providers that we need, because we do run a lockup at the Novi Police Department, that these prisoners have to be checked on a very frequent basis. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and some of the time savings that we've seen in that area?
Well, Chief, one thing that the officers prior to the cadet program had to do was they would be assigned prisoner check times throughout their shift. And an officer would have to come in from their district to the station, walk through booking to make sure that the prisoners were okay, and then drive back to their district. Well, now we have the cadets in the building. They do those prisoner checks for the officers. So we can realize if it takes 5 minutes to do a prisoner check, and you figure on average 5 to 7 minutes to drive to the station and then back to their district, we're probably doing about 20 minutes of time savings each hour by having cadets do prisoner checks.
That's outstanding. And again, nothing more but furthering that level of service that we're providing. Now, Paul, the way in which you found out the cadet program was a little unique, but why don't both of you just think about, Michael, I know you were very involved in recruiting some of these young men and women. Where do we go to find these young folks to be police cadets?
Well, Chief, like we've said, we want people who want a career in law enforcement. So we went to the local police academies, to the local colleges that have police training as part of their curriculum, and that's where we said, hey, if you know some people that are good, please have them apply. The second thing that we did was that we made those people that wanted to apply bring a letter of recommendation from their academic advisor, because we want people who are serious not only about police work but about their schoolwork as well.
So we visited the Oakland Community Colleges, Madonna's, Schoolcraft, and some of the other institutions in the area, and I know we have a wide range of educational. Some of our cadets actually have their bachelor's degrees already from Madonna in Eastern Michigan, near completion from Eastern Michigan. So I think that's been, again, a proven success for us. And we are always going to continue to have in place the highest standards on education. And one thing we teach everyone every single day is to constantly have a thirst for knowledge, to where you're going to learn something new every single day, not only as a police cadet, but as a police chief or as a police sergeant or lieutenant. You always have to have that thirst for knowledge. And if individuals are ever interested in looking to become a Novi police cadet, they can go to our website at www.cityofnovi.org, check under the police services tab or on our human resources tab, and you can see those opportunities, and that's where we're always going to have those posted for anyone that we're looking for. We're not currently hiring any positions right now, but that's always a good venue for people to take a look at. Any other thoughts that you have, Paul, about some of your experiences thus far?
I just love what I'm doing right now. I'm having a blast. So.
That's great. That's great. Sergeant Warren, from your perspective?
From my perspective, Chief, it's very nice to have a group of people who are excited about police work and enjoy the job that they're doing the way that the cadets do.
And just to recap, we're saving, in just the first month alone, well over 220 plus personnel hours that we're keeping those uniform officers out on the street. We're reducing our risk and liability by having our prisoners checked on a very frequent and consistent basis, keeping our men and women out on the streets, preventing crimes, arresting criminals if something comes about, if we have to, and this has just been a total win. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't thank our city administration and obviously our elected leaders for providing us with this opportunity. I think when we looked at and programmed this, this was about $146,000 to bring in 9 part-time people over a year with uniforms and training, and the benefits I think we're going to continue to reap, and it's certainly going to be a very, very minimal cost for us, and yet the level of service that we provide is going to be greatly enhanced. So I'd like to thank you both for joining me here today and appearing on the briefing room. And to you, the viewing audience, thank you for tuning in once again. Please continue to watch Channels 13 and check out any updates we might have at cityofnovi.org. Thank you for watching.